Good afternoon, everyone. In a special manner, I would like to welcome each and every one of you for this exhibition of mine. And the exhibition is based on a topic which will be so much supported by visualizations for the topic. And the topic is sustainable use of fisheries resources in East Africa. So under this topic, sustainable use of fisheries resources in East Africa, we shall look at the definition of fishing and fisheries resources in East Africa. So that is our first subtopic. We shall look at another subtopic talking about describing methods of fishing used in East Africa. Furthermore, we shall also explain fish market in East Africa, and therefore fish market in East Africa is another subtopic for the above topic. Then we shall also finally discuss methods of fish preservation after catching it in East Africa. So it is our last subtopic. And before I go further, my learners have various characteristics which needs to be supported. And for that matter, one of my characteristics, before I go further to explain those subtopics under our topic, is that we shall look at the characteristics of my learners. And these are learners of senior 2 class in third term. One, they have collaborative skills. Most of my learners, they like working together. They cannot do work alone. So that is very good. When people work together, it is very important. That is why our two hands are always there towards one another. So collaborative skills is one of what my learners are always embracing. And to develop that, I always prefer or agitate for making use of pictures that are relevant to collaboration to my learners. And this can be seen by this picture here. We have people fishing in the first picture. So that one talks about the importance of working together because they are there, very many people fishing. So they are in a group. Like we also have this other picture talking about fish drying. And this is always based on making use of available resources that is sand. So the farmers like drying their fish after catching. And that one can be used to make learners understand that it is only not one man's work. So as they are working together, they have to also embrace it by maybe viewing it from other members. So that is another subtopic of mine. Then collaborative skills can be further developed by video or making use of videos that are relevant. We can see from this video So that video explains two people fishing. So it is not one person fishing. So in collaboration, there are always 2 to 3 parties involved. So that is an example. So it can make learners gain more skills in collaborative skills as they are embracing it. Then Another characteristics of my learners is that they have cognitive development abilities, which is so much important. And to include that, we can always bring in pictures like this that try to showcase something. And in the due course, as a teacher, you can make learners develop cognitive development by first making learners view some pictures or see, and then thereafter you develop tasks related. It can be in form of questionnaires, it can be in form of projects, and then due course, their mental abilities, cognitive thinking can be developed. And we can also develop the cognitive development skills of learners through drawings, making use of cartoons, then graphs and maps that they are brought. So in the due course, they will develop it further. Furthermore, another characteristics of my learners is that they have social responsibility in them. And the social responsibility is always very, very good because it makes learners work together. It is more or less like collaborative skills, but in the social responsibility, they try to work together in order to solve a problem. And it is always good. And for me, I like supporting those ones, especially here. This is in these pictures. The first picture, this where the slide is, it talks about people in East Africa, after collecting fish from water bodies, they always put them in very good containers, like baskets. And the baskets are very, very, very vital. Why? It is used for preservation of fish, for keeping fish to avoid damage. And that is one of the social responsibility I'm talking of. And it can be in relation to this topic, especially after farmers catching fish from the lakes, they can use it, they can play that social responsibility, they can face it. In the social responsibility still, we can also try to make fish grow in some places that they are enclosed. And this can be this can be clearly shown in this picture. For example, you see there are those cycles made of irons that are always fixed into water, especially on lakes, rivers, to make fish grow in those enclosed areas. So that one is to make fish yield properly, and then thereafter can be used for various purposes. You know, fish is so much important for protein. So we can also play our social responsibility in keeping or raising fish in any closed area for further use. So my learners can have a look at this in the due course they develop the social responsibility they have. Another one can be making use of canoes. We can see there people are making use of canoes for transportation and many other uses, maybe for fishing, and it is one of our social responsibility. And it can make learners of senior two who are in my class gain more ideas. And then I have also learners, some specific, because in total I have 46 students in my class, and I have learners that are interested in global issues. They like researching on each and everything that are relevant and are happening in our world today. And to increase that one more, especially when I'm teaching fishing, I always make use of pictures. And you can see here that I have a picture showing a water body, and urbanization taking place. We can see from this one here, there is some structures that have been put near the water body. Even we can look at the second picture that there are some urbanization taking place on the background of the photo. So people have structures and it is a clear sign of urbanization. So this is to make learners understand that in our world, there are a lot of things, especially when fishing. Fishing always incorporates things like urbanization in the due course of its development. So it is very vital. And then effect of climate on fishing industry. No, climate nowadays is a big topic that is to be debated. Why? Because it affects it affects every lifespan of people. In places where there is so much rainfall, that means we can say farming can occur. And then due course of farming, there is food security. So climate plays vital role. So I always bring things that are nearer. And in the fishing sector, how can climate be made use of? In climate, there is aspect of science. So the science can be used for drying fish, and you can see it from this picture that there is a person drying fish. And then we can also have fish being smoked, and this results from the climatic aspects. Where there is rainfall, that means trees can grow, and the due course, we can use the trees for firewood, which can be used for fish farming. And this one makes learners interact and try to know more about the global issues happening. And then effect of globalization on fishing industry. Here we can use graphs. How is fishing carried? Is it increasing? The methods that are used, are they appropriate? And then how is the market? And how can we relate that one into graphs? So we have here, we can use bar graphs. We can also use line graphs. So all of them are showcasing global issues happening. So I can use that to help my learners. Then another one is communication skills. My learners, there are some that are really impressive. They can give a very good speech. And I'm even suspecting that in future they can become good MCs for bigger functions in our country. And to help always them in my class, I ensure that I bring visual images, something to do with project related, where they use their language and their abilities of communication, then hands-on vocabulary ideas. Like for the first, I can use pictures. We can see here that this is food that has been placed well prepared, and it is communicating that this is food. So I always provide this kind of picture and motivate them to describe it in the due course they developed the communication skills. And then I also give project. We can see in this picture that there are learners discussing. And these are who have listed East Africa because our case study is East Africa. This is why it's visited East Africa, especially Uganda. And they were doing a project. And in the project, they are discussing together. So I always give projects to my learners and give pictures related to projects that motivates them more. Then hands-on vocabulary ideas. We can see here that there are words that have been put there and the related pictures. So the pictures are to be drawn by the learner. So that means they are practicing. And after drawing, they have to write it. And in the due course, they are improving their communication skills of writing and drawing and many others. So I always also provide pictures related to things happening on our environment. And this is a basket. We all know baskets are used in Portland, especially it is one of the traditional things that were always impressed, that have been impressed by our forefathers, and we still need to embrace them. So this is how to read a basket pattern. So I always provided them with this kind of things. In the day, of course, they develop hands-on activities by going to make it practically when they are at home. Another characteristics of my learners is that they are independent. And you can see here that when we went for field work in Lambu Fish Market, we went as a group of senior 2 geography class, and the learners were learning, and they were trying to relate what have been learned on the ground with what is in class with what is on the ground. Here, you see this one is explaining what those people are doing in the fishing, because that is a boat with people in them, they are fishing. He's trying to explain to the learners, while others are discovering. Hmm? These ones are with me, they like be independent. Then this one is reflecting. Then this other one is they are trying to have the panoramic view of the world. So it is important as they are self-independent. So it is one characteristics that I always promote. And to do that, I bring them actively and you show them pictures that shows independence. All of them here, they're independent, they're free to do what they need of. So coming to focused learners, I have learners that they are so much in need, and it is one of my characteristics of my learners that they are always termed as specific learning needs. And for them, I have two categories. One, auto-spectrum disorder students. And these are students that are characterized by challenges in social interaction and communication skills, along with the receptive behaviors and restricted interests. So they have social interaction challenges, and at times they feel so much phobia or they feel inferior, especially in talking. And to do that, I always provide them with the pictures, videos, graphical presentations to avoid that challenge of living in social area, especially interaction with their fellows, and also improving their communication skills. So we can see here that in this picture, there are people working together. And I believe in the picture that people were talking as they were trying to remove the fish from the nets. So this picture shows how socialization is important. Interacting with other people is important. So this picture motivates those ones with the challenges to enter into those groups and learn more. And then I have also a video here, and it talks about fish types and their names. So this video basically talks about different types of fish. And as I have said, autism spectrum disorder involves also challenges in communications. The learners with this disorder can have challenges in communicating some things. So to improve that, I always provide them with video like this talking about fish types and others relevant to the topic. And here, as it is talking about the different names and types of fish that have been displayed, so I always ask them to mention what they have seen. And in mention, they improve their communication skills. They try to remove those inferiority complex that is within them to explain and be better, especially when using their communications. You know, communication is good for market. And then I have also some specific learning needs or learners in my class, and these are gifted learners. And these gifted learners, they always perform at higher levels compared to others of their ages, experience, and environment. Why are they so much gifted? Where can I see my learners exhibiting this giftedness? One area I always observe them is through their advanced vocabulary. These are learners who always try in each and every class use some vocabularies that are unique, making at times even their fellows wonder where they get them. And to make them develop this, I always try as much as possible to improve it in various ways, which I'm going to mention. Then I also have extensive research questions. So whenever I give questions to these learners, you will find that in a class that there are those specific ones that perform highly in the questions. So that means they're exceptional. They are highly gifted. If they are members of the same age, experience are not doing the same, how come that they perform? So I always perform myself. And to say this, I always engage them more in through making use of complex words. That's first for them that they don't know. And they do, of course, they go and research and become better. And then I give them research questions. And this is basically to make them read ahead. Although in class, I don't give them immediately, I call them specifically and I give them and task them to always make presentations in class and to work in groups in their class. So in the due course, their giftedness is promoted and they are able to learn at a higher pace. So those are characteristics of my learners. Now coming to what we are basically here for, I have so many visual aids that are to be used or that are to be showcased or exhibited in these subtopics. One, for subtopic one, which is talking about definition of fishing and fisheries resources in East Africa, I have these visual aids. For example, I have the pictures. This one is a picture that has been drawn and it is explaining what fish is. So it is important. So that explains what fishing is. And then to explain fishing resources, fishing can be both fresh one or it can be a smoked one. So I always bring them pictures related to, like this one is talking about smoked fish. This one is a fresh fish that has been cast on a net. And then this is the water vessels. One of the resources also in fishing is the vessels that are used for carrying or for moving from one location to another on a water body. And this helps the the fishermen to fish because they are able to explore those other areas where the fish are located. So I have pictures for them. And all these are always used, especially in the introduction part of the lesson. I can use all these pictures to introduce the concept of fishing. And then still on the topic of fishing and fish resources in East Africa, I have another visual aid that is called infographics. Infographics. This is this infographics. This is a clear picture of it, and here it talks about the different fish marketing, health fish stocks, increased benefits related to fish, sustainable stock management, and strength cooperation in East Africa. So this is very important, and it is a picture of Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and it is present, works in Tanzania. So this is an infographic showing the different fishing activities that are done, especially when it comes to fish stocking, when it comes to marketing. So it can be used in the lesson production. I have a map showing East African lakes in which Nile part was sampled. You know, in East Africa, we have very many fish types. And one is that we have Nile perch, we have tilapia, we have mm, we have sushi, we have dory, we have red, all of them. So this was basically to show the Nile perch. This was to show Nile perch that was sampled on East African lakes. And we have here Lake Albert, Lake Yoga, Lake Turkana, Lake Victoria, Lake Edward. So these are the areas where fishing can be carried. And this map helps the learners of Senior 2 to understand the concept about fishing resources, especially when it comes to this type called Nile perch, because fish itself is a resource. Furthermore, another fishing resources we have can be of video. It can be this one, can be seen clearly in this video. Can we have a look at it?
All right, so this little pond is just alongside the road. I don't have permission to fish it. If I get permission to fish it, I will. It gets covered up with plants like this, and it's a salad bowl, as you can see. I'll zoom in a little bit. The brownish looking stuff is filamentous algae coming through there. All kinds of riparian plants around the edge. But I've seen this one really covered in lilies, and that's a problem because the surface is being blocked. The light is being blocked at the surface. That light is important to the plankton. So when you shade the pond like this, you're shading the base of the food chain. You're decreasing the amount of plankton, which decreases the amount of larval fish, decreases the whole system.
So apart from fish itself, we have also the water weeds or the aquatic plants that are always on the water bodies. So the video here was basically showing other fish resources, especially the aquatic plants. And we all know that those planktons or the aquatic plants are always useful for the fish itself. They use it for food because their time is composed and they do cause the fish feeds on them. So it is very vital. And then another subtopic which we are going to look about is description of methods of fishing in East Africa. This is very, very vital because as fishing is always carried, there are some specific methods that are used. And when it comes to the methods, it is both traditional and artificial. So the traditional methods, we are going to see them further in the presentations below. But this first one, it talks about fishing methods. And it says that fishing methods are always of two types. And there is fishing which is carried with the gears or with the help of gears. And then there is fishing without making use of gears. And gears here are the instruments or devices used to catch fish. So those are the gears. And then for the craft, those are instruments used to carry the fisherman and the gear to the fishing ground. It can be the vessels and many others, the motorboats, canoes, and many others. So here I used academic word journal on fish method, and this was inserted on a flip stand. You know, this is a flip stand. It helped in supporting this document, and the document was relevant to the learners because they can have a look and they do, of course, they try to analyze that there is a fishing that is always carried with the gears, and there is fishing that is not carried with gears. So it can still be used in the lesson introduction. Another one we have under fishing method are the traditional methods. And when we are talking about the traditional methods, it encompasses a lot of things. So this one is bucket, and it is one of the traditional methods of fishing. So there are very many types of baskets that can be used here. We can have a look at it. So there is this one. All of them are gadgets, traditional gadgets for fishing. And these are pictures showcasing it. And then we have also another interesting type of traditional methods of fishing, which is commonly used in East Africa. And it is called spears, making use of spears. And the pictures below can show exactly what spears are. So I have used spears to explain methods of traditional method of fishing that is used for carrying fishing. So in the first picture, we can see a man carrying spears to fish. And then in the second picture, you can also see that a man has already used the spear for fishing and is coming out with some specific yes. So another one is video. I also used the video to explain spear fishing, and we can have a watch. We saw that person used a spear to spearhead the fish that was coming, and of course, she got the fish by spearing it. So spear fishing and the basket, all of them are used in the lesson development process. So another traditional method of fishing is making use of hooks, and hooks are of these are actually These are used for fishing and they always have sub-pointed tips. You can see here. And these tips, when the fish try to catch them, because baits are always used with the help of the hooks to catch fish. So when a bait is fixed there, it attracts the fish, and in the due course, the fish is able to get attracted and they consume it. So we can use hooks, and these are the various pictures that we can use for showing hook method of fishing. We can also use this one in lesson development for learners to understand that apart from spear fishing, there is also hook method of fishing. Here, I used a mind map, and this mind map it talks about fish poisoning. So fish poisoning is another traditional method of fishing whereby in the water body, the poison is placed, and in the due course, the fish try to eat the poison on the water and they die in large quantities. We can see from this picture that the fish, after eating poison, they died and all of them were raised on the surface of the water. So the person who was using this poisoning method of fishing will come and easily collect the water because all of the fish that he needed are now on the surface of the water. So it is one way of carrying fish. And then here, this is whereby the fish is extracted out of the water and it is further poisoned, maybe to stay for some longer period of time. So it is another method of catching fish, whereby the fish is poisoned and then used for a longer period of time. So we have fish poisoning, and this still can be used in the lesson development process. So another traditional method is hand gathering. This is where fishermen in the water body, they try to use hand to catch fish, and after catching the fish, they use some ropes to tie the fish and they bring it outside. It's another method of traditional fishing, especially done on shallow waters. So apart from traditional methods of fishing, we also have modern methods of fishing. So modern methods of fishing can be seen clearly by making use of these pictures here. We can see here there is a long line method whereby the net is put in two angles and it is strictly lined up. And then in the due course, baits are always there and the fish try to catch. They try to eat the baits that have been already placed, maybe with the help of hooks, and the due course, they get attracted and caught. So it is another method. We can see the pictures of long line fishing method here. It is modern method of fishing. So this one is always supported by making use of boats. The nets are tied on the boats. Two boats from each side have the angles for attacking, and they expand in the due course the fish are attracted. So this one still can be used in the lesson development process. So another visual aid that we can use is troll method. And trawl method in East Africa is basically for pelagic fishing. Pelagic fishing. This is where there is these are enclosed nets, whereby the enclosed nets are attached to a boat or a vessel on a water body, and it is laid inside the water. And the because the fish try to enter there, and they are later caught. So it is another method. You can see the picture here. These visual aids in form of pictures are very, very vital. And here I also used a mind map to support these pictures. So all these sewing trawl method are used for learners in the lesson development to fully understand the concept of trawl method of fishing as a modern method of fishing. And then apart from trawl method, apart from long line, we have also pole and line method of fishing. And this is whereby people on a vessel line together and fish using sticks that are attached with the strings with the hooks. So it is an interesting method of fishing that can be used in East Africa. So I have these two pictures that showcases it. You can see in this picture, men have lined up and they are trying to catch fish. Like this one has successfully got one. And then we have this one is a clear picture, clear drawing of it. So we can see it further by looking at this video.
Rod and line is a fishing method used to catch various species of tuna, one fish at a time. Along with hand line and trawl fishing methods, these form the foundation of one-by-one tuna fisheries. Rod and line fishing generally targets skipjack, albacore, and occasionally yellowfin tuna, which is canned and sold to consumers around the world. Based on centuries of tradition, pole and line is one of the oldest and most traditional ways of catching fish, providing premium sustainably caught tuna to communities all over the world as well as for export abroad. In pole and line fishing, fishers locate a school of tuna to which bait is chammed and water is sprayed on the ocean surface. This creates the illusion of an active school of prey and initiates a feeding frenzy amongst the school of tuna. In the Maldives, fishers typically line up along the back of the boat, each with a handheld wooden or fiberglass pole, with a short line and barbless hook attached. Once a fish is hooked, it is flicked up and over the head of the fisher and onto the deck. Pole and line fishing is practiced all over the world and by coastal communities both large and small. Each has their own typical vessels and customs on how they fish pole and line. By catching tuna with pole and line, these types of fisheries are doing their part in maintaining a healthy fish stock. With pole and line, it is nearly impossible to overfish. This is in contrast to the large industrial boats that use nets to catch tuna and thus empty large parts of the ocean. Pole and line fishing is a very environmentally friendly and highly selective catching method. This technique guarantees that bycatch and damage to nature are close to zero and that other ocean species like dolphins, turtles, and sharks remain unharmed. One by one is the only way to catch tuna that is considered to be environmentally and socially responsible. It provides for families on a daily basis as well as supplying for and offering sustainable alternatives in the global market. With this in mind, pole and line fishing should be supported to protect the livelihoods.
So that is exactly how pole and line method of fishing is carried. It is where the fishermen use poles to catch fish and they lie together, and in the due course they try to use the poles that are attached with the strings which has actually hooks fixed with the baits to attract the fish. In the due course, the fish is caught. So that is an example. So we can use that in the lesson development process for learners to fully understand how pole and the line method works. And then another method, traditional, actually modern method of fishing is dredging method of fishing. And for dredging, we can see here the pictures. This is dredging, where there is the nets are cast and placed in the deep, in the bottom of the water, inside the water. So in the deep course, the fish get attracted there and they are dressed out. And it can be done using machine. This is a good machine showcasing dredging. And it is used for carrying or for catching fish. And then we have also hydraulic drains. This is a picture of it. And all these pictures helps learners to understand how dredging works out, especially when we are talking about methods of fishing in East Africa, because it is one of the methods that are used in East Africa. So it can be used in the lesson development process. Another modern method of fishing is pass-sailing methods of fishing. Here I have also used the mind map supported by pictures. In the pass-sailing method, we can see here that the fish are caught using nets. But what makes it different? At times we can see in this picture that the nets are caught by individuals in the diocos, and the fish, once they get there, they don't see any pathway for passing, and they get attracted there. So it's another method of fishing that can be used in East Africa. And all this will be used in the lesson development process for learners to fully understand the modern methods of fishing, especially pass seine that is used in East Africa. So there is another method that is called drifting method of fishing in East Africa. And here I have used the pictures coupled with the mind map. So the mind maps try to differentiate. We can see all these drifting methods used in East Africa and still can be used in the lesson development process to make the learners fully understand the concept of fishing. So this pie chart shows percentages of methods of fishing used in Africa, especially in East Africa. So in East Africa, we use troll methods, we use long liners, we have seiners, we have artificial fishing methods of fishing that I called traditional when I was explaining. We have deep sea fishing methods. So when all these ones are put in a pie chart, the percentages are rated, you will find that most of the fishing methods used in East Africa are artificial artisanal method, or in other words, traditional methods of fishing. And you can see it is widely covered. Here, the yellow shows the greater percentage. And it is one method that is used and dominantly used in East Africa. Another one can be long liners. Long liners, which you saw in the picture displayed by me, where members line and they catch the nets, they try to eliminate the pathways for fish. And they try in the due course, when the fish reach there, they get attracted. So it is used second, because long liners are used second, but these ones are actually modern methods of fishing used. So it is secondly used in East Africa. Then we have trawlers making use of trawls. So this one is steadily used, and with the least percentage of seiners being used. So deep sea fishing and trawlers there at the same pace, plus others. So this pie chart can be used to conclude fishing methods used in East Africa in terms of their percentages in the lesson development process for learners to fully understand which methods between the artificial and the modern, which one is greatly used, of course, which is artisanal fishing method. So another subtopic, which is the third subtopic, is about explaining fish marketing in East Africa. So these are the possible visual aids for fish marketing in East Africa. And when we are talking about fish marketing, there are a lot of things there. There is fish handling, there is fish packaging, there is a fish transportation, which we are going to look in the due course of learning this. So in the first picture, this picture shows about it is communicating how fish is handled, because it is one of the key terms used in fish marketing. So fish handling is always, like, for example, after catching fish from the water bodies, the fishermen always come in the market and they try to sell it. In the due course, the fish is handled properly. So it is one method that is ever used in East Africa. So we can see from the pictures supported by the mind map. And then under fish marketing, we also have always two concepts. There are those buyers, those are people who come and they buy fish, and there are those sellers. We can see from these cartoons that the first cartoon, where there is picture showcasing a seller selling fish. So this one is a seller selling fish, and it illustrates how fish marketing is done, especially in the marketing of fish. And then in the second picture, we are seeing that there is a fish seller who is selling fish. And at the same time, there is a buyer who has come and bought one and is going away to his home. So that is another concept. So there is a fish buyer and fish seller that exist in the fish market. So all this can be used in the lesson development process for learners to fully understand what exactly takes place in the fish market in East Africa. Of course, we have buyers and sellers that always come and do the activity. And then another concept in fish marketing in East Africa, we have fish transportation. And fish transportation can be to market and from market. So the first pictures we can see shows that there are some trucks that are taking fish that have been caught from the water bodies, like lakes, rivers, in the swamps to the fish market. And here, this is from market, what takes place within the market there. So the fish has been transported to the fish market that have been displayed for the fishermen to readily buy, especially fish buyers. So this is a clear picture showcasing it. There are two pictures showcasing each. And then, apart from that, we also have another concept in fish marketing, that is fish packaging. How fish is packed, especially after catching or in the market. We can see that in these pictures, that is supported by the mind map. I have used the mind map pictures to showcase fish packaging here. So in the first picture, there is use of timber that has been made in form of a box to keep fish. And this is to avoid spoilage fish and to make transportation easier, because when fish are packed, it can easily be put into the vehicle and the vehicles can carry, or else the motorist can put it on their motorcycles to transfer it to the market. So we can use the boxes. We can see in this picture that there is a fish species that have been packed in the box. Then another way is in this picture. This is a silverfish that is always caught, especially on Lake Victoria, and it is packed after sun drying it. So in the packaging, they use some bit of polythene bags. So they are fully packed with the prices written, ready for sale. And then another one can be in the fish packaging of Nile Perch. We can see here there is a line of boxes that have been used. At least in each box, they try to put fresh fish. So in the picture, that is how fish packaging takes place in the fish marketing. So we can have a look at this video showcasing fish processing and fish packaging, because I said fish packaging is one of the methods that have been used, especially in fish marketing. So that is exactly how fish processing and fish packaging is done, especially in the market. So it can still be used in the in the lesson development process. Now, in the fish market, there is always what we call fall and rise in fish prices, and it at times affect the countries seriously. And there is a picture here that shows in the market of fish in Kenya, there was a decline of profits from fish markets due to poor fish stocks in Kenya. So the type of fish stocks that you implement on those water bodies also at times results as positively or negatively. It depends. So we can have a look at this positive check, actually negative check in Kenya's fish stocking.
Now, Kenya's 26 billion shillings per annum fish industry faces threats as scientists raise the alarm over the dwindling stock in the country, blaming it on poor quality seed that does not enhance production. In 2021, the quantity of fish produced in Kenya stood at 326 tons, posting an 8.5% growth from the produce registered in 2020. Our reporter, Gabriel Kudaka, visited the University of Eldoret's Fish Genetics and Genomics Research Lab and explains how this will help transform the fish industry.
According to official data published by the National Bureau of Statistics, Kenya's fish industry's produce is valued at 25.6 billion per annum, with the country's average produce annually standing at slightly over 124,000 metric tons. Whereas fish is a delicacy among many Kenyan communities, researchers are now worried about the decline in population.
Currently, Kenya is producing about 150,000
metric tons of fish, 150,000. This is a drop from around 2000 when we used to have over 250,000 tons of fish.
Besides pollution of aquatic ecosystem, scientists say the type of
So that is how fish stocking, especially having poor fish breeds that are put on the water bodies in Kenya, affected Kenya. And it also affects the market. So when we are talking of market, there is always profit and the loss. So that is how it has resulted in to loss. So that is to make learners understand that in the process of fish marketing, there are always also losses encountered, and there are always profits made. So that is how it is done. And then we have also fish storing. We have also fish storing. Now this is in subtopic 4, which talks about methods of fish preservation after catching in East Africa. So in East Africa, we always try to preserve fish to avoid spoilage. And we can see that one in various ways. So to support or to make this concept understood by learners, I have come up with an audio and some pictures. But before that, let us have a listen to the audio.
Hello members, this is Lawrence, and I'm going to briefly summarize how we can store fish. We all know that the fish storage is important and it is crucial for maintaining its spiciness, flavor, and safety. So we can keep fish, especially in refrigerators, and the possible procedure for keeping fish and storing it. One, you have to rinse the fish under cold water and pat it dry with paper towels. And then immediately after rinsing the fish and putting it under cold water, you have to place the rinsed fish on a cooling rack inside a shallow container, like a roasting pan. Then fill the container with the crushed ice without letting the ice touch the fish directly. And the third procedure is that we have to keep it in a regulated temperature of 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And after keeping it in a temperature of 30.
So that is how fish preservation can be done. We can use fish storing method, whereby we try to keep fish in refrigerators that are regulated, especially in terms of temperature. It can be a temperature between 32 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we have also pictures here. We can also store fish, especially in ice. So that means icing is another method. And we can ice them and put them in refrigerators or in boxes. We can see in this picture, this has been iced and they are put in containers. And we can also see in this picture that, this other picture, that we have fish kept in refrigerators that are controlled, especially in terms of temperature. Is another method of preserving fish used in East Africa. And then under fish preservation, there is also fish mechanization. These are the facilities that are used to raise fish in East Africa. When we are talking about fish mechanization, we can see from this picture in East Africa that the fish have been raised in closed areas. that are well structured, especially in the ponds that are put in structures within. So it is used to make fish raised to supply the demands that are highly in the market. So is another method. And then we have also under fish mechanization, we can also keep fish in refrigerators still. It is part of mechanization, making use of facilities like refrigerators to keep fish. And then one concept on fish preservation is also fish marketing. How can we preserve fish? We can preserve fish through fish promotion. And fish promotion can be how fish is consumed, especially in the market. And this can be done in restaurants and many others. We can also, like in this picture, we can see a meal that has been prepared. There is some bit of fish, there is some also some greens, which is nice looking. I'm quite sure some members may be salivating, but that is how fish is promoted. So the pictures try to promote. When a person sees this, will feel like eating fish, and will go maybe in the possible nearby restaurant and try to buy fish. In the due course, it has promoted fish preservation. And then fish preservation can be done also through fish smoking. We can see here, this Ugandan woman who is selling fish at fish market, and basically is selling smoked fish and even prepares meals related to fishing. So that is how fishing can be also preserved in East Africa. So we can also use drawings. I have used drawings to showcase how the facilities are used to preserve fish. Like the first one is a refrigerator. You see, this is a clear diagram or drawing showcasing refrigerators used for keeping fish. We can have a look at. And then this is where fish is iced, icing of fish image. So we can see here, there are steps. We have step 1, we have step 2, coupled with step 3. And then additionally, we have step 4, where fish have been fixed into ice to keep it for some longer period of time. And basically, it is done to avoid fish spoilage in East Africa. I have ever eaten fish that has been iced and refrigerated. So we can use drawings to make learners understand how they can preserve fish. And they do, of course, when they go into the real world, they can apply it very well. And then I have also used here a bar graph showing marginal increment of fish preservation in East Africa, how fish has been preserved, especially in the different months in Uganda. And the case study here is months resulting from March up to July. So we can see from this marginal increment that from March, there was, the increment was 1. So that means the preservation of fish was so high. And then here, in April, it was 8. And then in month of May, it was 188. In the month of June, it was 48. In the month of July, it was 58. So that means in March, July, April, in March, there was, actually in July, there was so much increment, especially in preservation of fish. The same applied to months like May and June. So that is how we can also showcase how fish preservation in East Africa is rated, especially when it comes to making use of bar graphs. And the bar graphs can be can develop the critical thinking of students. It can develop the analytical thinking, and it can even develop the synthesis, whereby they can be able to explain it in the due course they develop the languages that are crucial in the market. So that basically shows how fish marketing is done. So in conclusion, fishing in East Africa is done, especially in a lot of areas. We can say that fishing in East Africa can be done on lakes. And when we are taking lakes, we can have Lake Victoria, we can have Lake Turkana, we can have Lake Albert, we can have Lake George, and then we can have Malawi, and many others. So in the rivers, the possible river is the River Nile. Fishing can be done in the River Nile. Fishing can be done in other rivers in East Africa. We can see in this map of East Africa, the lines that are green in color, those are the rivers where fishing can be done. And then fishing in East Africa, as it is both marine and inland, we can also do fishing on Indian Ocean as marine. So fishing can be done in East Africa. We can see here, it is indicated the blue in a color. So the color blue is basically for water resources. So those are my conclusions. Fishing still remains important nutrient for people's survival and for health. And therefore, we have to sustainably make use of fisheries resources in East Africa. I think from my exhibition, we have realized that fishing itself can be done in form of looking at defining what fishing is and having a look at fishing resources in East Africa. Still in East Africa, we can use various methods of fishing used in East Africa. And the methods include both traditional and modern. In traditional, we have things like basket hooks and many others. Modern, we have long line, we have pass seine, and many others. Then we can also conclude by saying that fish marketing is crucial. And in the fish marketing, there is always the aspects of fish packaging, fish storing. We can talk about the threats associated, the losses that are made, the profits that are made, especially in fish market. And then we concluded that in East Africa, we can also have fish preservation methods. We can preserve the fish that we have caught on our East African water bodies like lakes, rivers. So we can use them. I say all this through Christ our Lord. Amen. So thanks. This brings me to the end of my exhibition. I wish you all the best and may God bless you.